Alright, you're ready to set your sights up on your barrel. You get everything perfectly aligned straight. You use either square or maybe you got some 1, 2, 3 blocks or precision blocks. Maybe you've got your own little jig here like I got. Everything's perfectly true and aligned, one right on top of the other. There you go. And your post is right in the middle, right where you want it. Get it all put together, you go to the range, you shoot it, and guess what? Point of aim, point of impactor is different. You're looking straight on, but it's shooting left or right. What happened? Everything was perfectly square and straight and aligned. Why is it shooting right or left? That's not right. I don't want my post way over here or way over there. Well, sometimes there's a reason for it. If you look at this barrel here, it's kind of hard to tell, it's dark. It's chamfered nice and pretty up there. This is an American made barrel. I'm not going to say who any of the manufacturers are, but this one's in the center. Beautiful. You'll be able to line your sights up on this one all squared. It should be pretty darn close. This is also an American made barrel. Of course, all of them here are. Doesn't have nowhere near as big a chamfer, but you can just barely tell. It's closer to this side than it is over here. It's not perfectly in the center. Uh-oh. This is where you start having problems. Now this stub here is off of this barrel. It's got a lot bigger chamfer on it, but if you can tell, the chamfer is bigger on this side than it is on that side. Why is that? It's because it's not centered. Look this way. Uh-oh. That's why when you align all your sights and everything's perfectly square, you take it and you shoot it and it shoots right or left even though everything's straight. Why is that? Well, because that's not square in the middle. So remember, angles, of course this is dramatic here, way over, a little bit off. The farther the distance you go, the farther it shoots that direction. Remember, angles, as distance goes, it gets bigger. That's where these come in handy. A lot of people will use the ones that go inside the chamber like this. And that's fine and dandy as long as you got a barrel like this one that's perfectly centered. Now this won't work in this one because the laser will shine down the center of this, not touch the sides, and then you'll set your sight up to that laser, but it's still going to shoot off. Does that make sense? Because this is off, but the laser still shines perfectly down there without touching the edge. So I don't like to use these. I tried it at first, and I still had a problem with it shooting right or left. And I was like, what is the problem? The more I started inspecting my barrels, the more I started realizing that it is about 50-50 of getting one that's off center. That's where this comes in handy. It's got mandrels here, different sizes. This one here is 5.56 or 5.45. It goes all the way up to a 50 BMG. This is a Laserlight MBS-1. You take this and stick it in the rifling and you spin it around and it will get tighter. Of course, it's not set up right now. A little bit tighter. Won't hardly go in. You back it off till it slides in. Then tighten it. I like to have this straight up to where my sights are. That way, in case the laser is slightly set off a little bit, because there's no guarantee that that is dead perfect, shining straight. It may be slightly off too. So once I've got used to using this, so I kind of know where to put the laser on top of my post when I'm looking at it to get it aligned. Anyway, this will tell you exactly where that bullet is going to go once it exits that barrel. If it's drilled slightly off center or been set up and machined off center, because usually it's drilled and then they come back and machine this after they set it up on centers. But anyway, and if it's a little bit off, that laser is going to show you, okay, that's where that bullet's going. So you may have to actually, can't stay, we'll go through there. You may have to, if it's shining to the right, you may have to cant that to the right. Now that's dramatic there, but I mean, it won't take much, just a little bit. But that little bit of cant right there that you may have to put into it to shoot point of aim, point of impact will keep your sight post in the middle. If you don't line all this up and then you need to adjust it, well, you can end up by the time you get 50 or 100 or 200 yards out, this sight post may be way the heck over here next to one of these ears. It will still shoot and work, but to me that really jacks your sight picture up with that thing being way off one side or the other. I just don't like it. I want them in the center. Want them? I want them. Yeah, I want them. Want them. Sorry, redneckies. But I use this. It works perfect. I know where it's set, and it doesn't should work perfectly right dead on the center. Mine's usually just a hair off to the side. And every now and then, I may have to adjust it just a smidge, but you won't be able to tell. It will still basically look like it's dead in the center. I mean, it won't be by much. Because remember, a fine amount of adjustment back here will make for a huge difference way out there. Like I said, angles. But that's what I do. So if you're having a problem with using jigs or squares or whatever, you know, to get your sights, and, oh man, they're perfectly straight, and I drilled and pinned everything, and I went to the range and shot, and way off right or left. Uh-oh. Now you're frustrated. Well, what the heck happened? Most likely, that happened. Like I said, that's why sometimes you'll have to cant these on purpose to get point of aim, point of impact. That's only because of this. Now this barrel here, as far as I can tell, it's pretty darn close to being right dead in the center. So most likely this one would line up for you, and you'd never know. You do your next one, you end up with a barrel like this, you don't realize it, and you set it up, well, I did this, or this one right here, perfect. I'm gonna do this one the same way. Oops. But it didn't work. Yep. This is going to tell you exactly where that bullet's going once it exits that barrel. Of course, it can be drilled dead in the center like this, and somebody could have hack jobbed the chamfer on there and had that crooked, and that will slightly throw it off if there's more of a chamfer on one side than the other. Because when the gases are escaping out of here first as the bullet comes out. And if there's more gas venting this direction than this direction, it's liable to push that way a little bit, or off, you know, vice versa. But primarily it's because they're off center, and not all of them are going to be that way. That's just something to look at. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Usually the chamfer will give it away. If it's chamfered a lot more on one side than on the other, that will give you an indication. Of course, when it's cut, that really tells you what's going on. In case you were wondering, that's the best way I've found, is to use one of these. They're not outrageously expensive. This is like 70 bucks. You might be able to get it cheaper in different places. They do have some that are way more expensive. They also have the type that are magnetic. That just, well, that doesn't do you any good if that's off. This is going to tell you, because it's going to sit in that rifling. If that's drilled off or been machined off, it's going to sit in there where it needs to sit. I always use one of these. This hasn't failed me yet. I can fail me, but that right there, as long as I do my part and pay attention and know where it sets on there, I very rarely have to make an adjustment at the range. If I do, it's very minute. And that's usually why I don't drill and pin. But I've got to where I've used this so much and I trust it that the last one I did, I went ahead and drilled and pinned it. Which is odd, because when I went and shot it, I was using Hornady VMAX for 5.45 gun, and I had all my sights lined up, went ahead and drilled and pinned it, and it shot way to the left. Whoops. What happened? Crap. Well, it was the ammo. I put regular old Monarch in there, shot dead center where I was aiming with all my sights. Put the Hornady VMAX in there, whoop, shot way to the left. So I was scared, thinking, oh man, I screwed up. But so ammo can have a lot to do with shooting right or left too. So there's just different things. That's why you should shoot different ammo. But if you're shooting different ammo and it's all still like, well, they're all still over here or all still over there, it might be because that's off center.